Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I don't know if I'm going to have a good signal tonight, but I certainly hope that I do. And I hope that you all put up with me however this thing turns out, however this signal turns out to be. I hope you put up with me. Ha ha ha. Hope everybody's having a good night. And I'm just checking to see if this is on a public broadcast. And yes, it is, rather than a private broadcast. I'm checking my timer to see if everything's going okay. I appreciate everybody who watches this live stream and also people who tune in afterwards. Just a reminder, you can click on the chats and watch the chats in real time as if it were live. And if you want to be part of the chats, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you'll know when I go live. So we got people coming in. And we'll see. And hi, Bubba, how you doing? And I got Sherry and Lucy, B-Dog, Ronald, Gary's in the house, Diane. Haha, bless you too, honey. And Bubba Morris is giving me 2 thumbs up and saying hi to B-Dog. Master EOD, hello, how are you? Well, folks, please let me know how my transmission's doing. I had such a rough time last night. I had some people saying that things were going smooth, and others were saying it was the worst they'd ever had. And I hate that. I've done some changes, and I have updated this app, and also notified the service that I was having problems. So that's a little bit something to do with my delay. It's rather time consuming, but it's okay. Hi, Michael. Hi, Reba. So, Kim, how are you? Okay, so everybody's filing in. That's great. I hope I'm coming in smoothly. Hi, honey. How are you? How's things across the pond? I hope you're doing okay over there. Hi, Karen. Happy Easter to you. Now, I had a picture in my studio last night that I wanted to show everybody, and it's popping out all over social media today. I wanted to be the first ones to show you, but I'm going to wait for people to get in. Sharon Mercer, I can show it twice, right? I can show it twice, so let me put it up there. New York, 1956, okay? It's better than looking at that Bud Light can that we were looking at. Yes, it was a different city back then, wasn't it, folks? Sharon's giving me a 5x5. Sharon is giving me a 5x5. That's good. Ronald Hendricks said, did you hear that Potato Head classified papers happened in April? Oh, yeah, before the Mr. T raid. That's exactly right. And one thing to remember as we see what Mr. T's going through now. Hi, Don and F. Hi, Outlandish Patriot. Let's keep this in mind, folks. If it wasn't for the Mar-a-Lago raid, there never would have been this disclosure and these rummaging through of Joe Biden's papers and property, which also brings up the questions of Hunter's residence and leads to the $50,000 a month in rent he's paying his dad, which he didn't put on his taxes, and on and on and on. Hi, Gloria. Kathy said I got 5x5. That's good. So the Mar-a-Lago raid might have been just a big old piece of bait tossed out for them to bite at, which they did. And it's causing the Biden family a lot of problems. Hello, Ian. Good Friday to you too, my friend. Honey says, hey, Mountain Man, more and more people waking up. Heard people chatting about Mr. T in a shop and how wrong it was. Yes, indeed. People have a natural affinity to reach out to somebody who's being persecuted. People look as themselves. I do it. Many people do it. We look at ourselves as underdogs many times. we always feel we're fighting uphill, and in the current climate, most of us are. So when you see that happen to somebody else, you have an affinity from the common man. That's right, Gary. Trust God's plan. And I hope there isn't any animosity towards yesterday. I just I dealt a little too quickly with somebody in the chats. I hope they come back. I'm not calling out any names, but it would have been a good opportunity for me to discuss the opposite of what Honey just brought up and what I was talking about, the empathy towards an underdog, the willingness to pull for somebody who's fighting the good fight. The opposite of that is called Schadenfreude. And I had somebody express some Schadenfreude last night. I took it that way. I don't think they meant it that way. And that will be a good discussion we can have by ourselves, or if they come back in, how a society focused on Schadenfreude, which is a term that means people who take joy or taking joy from watching others suffer. That is where you get the term Schadenfreude. Much different from what we are discussing right now with what's happening in the UK, where people have empathy for a person who's struggling. It is the polar opposite. So I did not like the business of celebrating someone losing their life in that cafe. And hopefully we can talk a little bit more about it. And I want to apologize for not engaging in that conversation because of my emotions on that. Hi, Lone Wolf. Hi, Camperman. How you doing? Diane's in. Everybody's rolling in. Okay. I'm just reading some of the chats. Now, I tell you, this thing in Tennessee, I put Tennessee Epiphany. Now, how much of you all, I don't know how much you got to hear of what I was saying last night about what happened in Tennessee. But I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna play a video. So we got some people in. We still got some more people filing in. Let me just play a video, see how it does. Okay, folks, you all up to hear Laura Logan just to see how the video's playing, how my stream is doing. You want to hear Laura Logan? A lot of my new people have probably not seen this. I'm well over 1,000 subs now, 1,100 some, and we're growing. I don't think I played her since, maybe 400 subs ago. So you guys up to see Laura? Because I'll go ahead and play it. You guys let me know how it comes through. How does that sound? Okay. Bubba said, give me a thumbs up. Show some love for an old man. That's right. Hi, Georgia. Now, I missed my other Georgia last night. She came in after we closed up shop. Awaken Trillium, how are you doing? So, sounds like Gary said yes for the Laura Logan video. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So why not? It's 2 minutes and some seconds, but I think it codifies our foreign affairs and our own local problems about as good as you can codify it.
Corralled into this box where we either have to hate Vladimir Putin and believe everything evil that's said about him and love Ukraine, and there's no in between. And that reminds me a lot of you're either a white supremacist or you go with the Democrat narrative on everything under the sun.
The most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today, white supremacy.
And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white.
I mean, there's as much interference here as you could possibly imagine. Before you even get to Hunter Biden, Nancy Pelosi, John Kerry, Mitt Romney, and all of their children who earn millions from Ukrainian gas companies. These days, it's hard to believe anything because they've lied about COVID, they lied about Russia collusion, they lied about the Ukraine impeachment trial, and there's so much more going on in Ukraine that nobody is talking about.
Does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
My job as a journalist is to try to understand what is the truth here. I don't like being lied to, and we're being lied to on an epic scale. When we're told your only choice is you have to be 100% with Zelensky. Slava Ukraina, who's a puppet who you can find on the internet in black stilettos and leather pants. Zelensky was selected, like so many of our leaders. And honestly, with big tech and with election fraud these days, we don't know how many leaders all around the world have been selected for us and weren't actually voted in.
How to build back better.
We have to build back better.
Build back better.
If Donald Trump gets the Republican nomination, there are many of us that will move heaven and earth to ensure he doesn't win.
We are fighting the same battles all over the world. To pretend that this war is about Russia and Ukraine is a barefaced lie. Putin has been warning for 15 years that he is not going to stand by while the globalists take over the world, build bioweapons facilities and whatever else they're doing in Ukraine. Ukraine has been a center of money laundering for many of the leaders in this country. Billions of US dollars have been laundered through Ukraine, and we say nothing about it. Does nobody question these things? We have an idiot like Lieutenant Colonel Vindman.
Mr. Vindman.
Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, please.
Do you always insist on civilians calling you by your rank?
And sits there as a lieutenant colonel. He didn't even make colonel. And he's telling the president of the United States what his policy should be. You have a traitor in the form of Maria Yovanovitch, who was Obama's ambassador, who's telling Ukrainian government officials, don't listen to the will of the American people.
In his July 25th phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky, the president badmouthed Yovanovitch, calling her bad news.
I was shocked, absolutely shocked.
And then she's given a cushy job for life at Georgetown University, and we're told that the president of the United States cannot say to his foreign counterparts that we want you to look into something.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. And they put in place someone who was solid.
So much hypocrisy and dishonesty here, and Ukraine is at the center of it all.
All right. It seems like that played good. I always like it when that plays good. Shows I got a solid stream, not compared to what I was going through last night. That's right, Jamie. Arrest them all. And honey, McCann, these rats are gonna pay dearly, Bubba said. Well, yeah, that's right. They are gonna pay dearly. Honey said that one of her parliament members got called out on some kind of scam with his electric bills, and that plays into what I'm going to talk about with Tennessee. It's not just an epiphany for the people of Tennessee. On many levels, this is should be an epiphany for everybody. We've got way more power, and our representatives have way more power than we have been led to believe. We can take control of our government. So, Gary says Melania is Russian royalty. But she might be. Well, I'm thinking more the Prussian. I was just talking to a friend of mine about these Prussian giants, and I was thinking about that with Barron. I don't like it when they bring Barron in the picture. Of course, he's a young fellow, and but I do wonder how tall that kid is now. I mean, my gosh, he was. What did Trump say? He was 6 foot. He was 6'6" months and months ago, right? Gary Steiner. I wondered there was a Prince Maria from Russia who escaped to France. She had a daughter. No matter how much I dig, I can't find anything out about her daughter. Well, they had to hide them all out, honey, because the Bolsheviks were killers. Okay, I said the word. I think I can say it one time. But they had to hide the royal family. They wanted them all wiped out. So anyway, that's typical of a criminal regime, right? Okay, we're talking about, okay, all right. was told Melania is married to Putin. Now, who said that, Jamie? Shush up. That ain't true. Why you say that? I'm wondering why you say that. But anyway, let's see. I had this picture. There's a lot of epiphanies going on right now. An epiphany is similar to the word awaken. I'm not going through a vocabulary lesson or discussion today with Schadenfreude and epiphanies, but this Bud Light thing is struck deep. And fools that they were, Jack Daniels has also embraced this business of transgenderism. I might as well say it. I don't want to spell that whole word out. That's a lot of spelling. But they have shot themselves in the foot. Yes, Donna had Barron towers over T, and Mr. T is about 6'3", maybe 6'4", but Barron is quite a bit taller than he is. Yeah, that's what Mr. T said last time. He's still growing. He's going to be up there. So, hi, Nikki. How are you doing? So, the epiphany is with this situation. I don't know. I'm sure you all have been updated. This person getting kicked out, Representative Justin Jones of the legislature in Tennessee. This person getting kicked out. And if you listen to him, his voice would change. He would talk. When he was reading from his paper, he would drag out his ends. He would read like a preacher, I see. But then when he was answering questions, he talked normally, and then he'd go back to his paper, and he'd be back to a certain way of speaking. So it was a pretty pitiful display of trying to sound like a 1960s recording of a civil rights activist. And this person here survived by one vote. One vote, Representative Gloria Johnson. And she claims that the only reason she survived was because of racism. But if you play her video of her defending herself, she was throwing the other two under the bus. She was saying, I didn't do what they did. I didn't use a bullhorn. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't pound the podium. So in other words, she was just up there feeding off of their antics, and they're the ones that paid the price, okay? So maybe they'll learn a little lesson, not get set up to get kicked out. But she's blaming racism as why she didn't get kicked out when she said her defense was, I did a lot less than they did. They're the ones that pounded the podium. They're the ones that yelled. They're the ones that used a microphone. So, yeah. Anyway, the epiphany should be that we have got the power to remove people from office. And how is that? Of course, the ballot box, which I know we need to straighten things out with that, but this proves that our state legislatures, nothing to do with the federal government, can very swiftly make changes and expel people from the body. This was for bringing disrepute and for acting disorderly on the floor. Now, they can do it for other things. They can do it for outright lies. They can do it for making outrageous statements and libelous statements about other people. They can do it for any number of reasons. It's just whether or not they have the character to do what the Tennessee legislature did. Adam Schiff should have been censured at the very least for many of the things he's done on the House of Representatives. That's federal, I know. But the thing is, these politicians act like they don't have but so much power, and they need you to vote for them, and they need you to send more money. And you know what? Wait a minute. What happened in Tennessee could have happened in the federal government level with people like Adam Schiff and all the other names that I can name, but they're not doing it. And people in your state representatives, state house, people in your state house that are behaving outrageously or illegally or supporting positions that are contrary to the Constitution, the other representatives can kick them out, impeach them, just like this judge that Trump is dealing with in New York. They say, oh, there's only so much we can do. He's a judge, and the appellate court and all these the bar association, they're the ones who discipline judges in a pig's eye. They can impeach. And the fact that they don't impeach and they don't censor, they don't remove members from the body that are acting in an outrageous way, lets you know that they're not on board. And they need to either get with the program or get out. Now, the one person that did not vote to impeach the lady right here, the one that switched votes, they need to be gotten out of there. And the voters need to take care of that. And the voters need to realize who it was and work to get them out of that district. But that's where a lot of power lies. You don't have to sue everybody, or you don't have to beat them at election while they torture you when they're behaving in a way that's contrary to the Constitution, their state constitution, or to the rule of law. The body can manage its own affairs, and that was proven in Tennessee. That should be the epiphany. I venture to say that many lawmakers don't even know they have that ability. It's just like this one fellow here. I don't agree with him. I think he made an idiot of himself. But right here, one of his first defenses was, I had no idea this could happen. I didn't know I'd get in this kind of trouble. Now, how many other representatives are saying to themselves, well, I didn't know we could kick a member out? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, you can. It's just like I was talking about with Fetterman. The Senate does not have to accept Fetterman. Just because he got elected, he still has to go through an acceptance process. Not a lot of people know that. Here we go. Just because we found out where he's at, doesn't mean he's going to get in that seat. And if we had a Senate that was straightforward and willing to fight for the best interests of all Americans, not just for Pennsylvania, there should be hearings about the ability of this person to function properly and whether or not the rest of the senators will consent to him taking his seat. That's right, Pappy Two Bears. All three of them were elected from heavily Democratic districts. So, anyway, and then you got this. I copied this thumbnail from Mark Dice. Let me see. Oh, I got too many pictures up. Oh, that's because I got that thing. Let's see. This from Mark Dice. I've seen this character before. I know many of you probably have. They call him the human Q-tip. And he was screaming and yelling that the whole thing was racist. Why there were two seats that were black gone and the white woman stayed. Well, if anybody watching it can see that she encouraged them. She was standing there smiling. She was basically the getaway driver or the lookout for the crime, which, as we all know, or most of us should know, that even if you do just that, you're just as guilty as the person did the crime. But she was slick enough to set them up to behave in an outrageous manner. They got kicked out. She didn't. She chumped them out. I think she knew she was not going to get kicked out. So when are these people going to wake up? Now, I'm sure they worked hard to get into that seat, but now I'm going to play another video. I'm going to play a video that another member of the House very politely told the last young man I had up on the screen, the one who was talking like a preacher, this one right here. He politely told him about his behavior. And I think it's something he should take to heart. And I borrowed this clip from my NPC show because I was watching it live on Frank's channel. And then I grabbed this clip. So listen to as how he reaches out to this person. This man is an immigrant, but he's been in this country for 53 years. He's been elected to the House of Representatives, and he's just trying to give a little bit of advice like a Dutch uncle. But anyway, I'll go ahead and play it. Hi, Rick. How are you doing? I'll go ahead and play it.
About democracy, I've been excited since I got elected to this house, and this is terrible. And really, it's just disappointment is what comes to mind. Representative Jones, you had a difficult time. You look at everything through the lens of race. Those are your experiences, and that's perfectly understandable. But sincerely, after becoming elected, you should be celebrating. You really should be. You should join the House, become one of us, make the transformation from being a person who, yes, we've known you demonstrating a lot, mobilizing the community, but make the transformation to be a representative who represents. You claim that you have 78,000 people to represent. You claim that you have 78,000 people to represent. But, sir, you have not done that. You have mainly interrupted the proceedings. You have attacked fellow representatives. You have attacked the chairman almost in all committees. That is not representing your people. That is not going to bring credit to the people that you claim to represent. I'm an immigrant, everybody knows. I have been in this country for 53 years. And when it was 50 years, you recognized me for that. It was a celebration in my mind and for my family. In those 53 years in America, I have never encountered a racial slur. I'm really not aware that any of that applies to me. I live a good life. Yet, you, on tape, call me a brown face. Yes, sir, it's on tape. It's on tape, okay? You can't deny that. Wow, I said it's on tape, okay? You called me that. After the committee meeting on that same day, you walked up to me. You had no business coming up to me. You were sitting a row or two ahead of me. You shoved your finger in my face and said, Kumar, they will never accept you. You said it twice, and you were so intimidating that the sergeant at arms, without my invitation, came and intervened between us. Sir, that is very disappointing. You did that. I was there.
Hang on, Chairman Clemens, you have a question?
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. He's talking about things that aren't the subject of the resolution.
Well,
I don't know that he's even telling the truth, but he's definitely not talking about anything that's subject to the resolution.
Well,
The events that took place on this floor.
Chairman Clemens, I'd be careful about the language that you use because that would impugn his reputation, which we had conversations about a few weeks ago. So I would be careful. You didn't go there, so I appreciate that. We have given latitude to the representative in the well who's made many accusations against me and other members of this House. I'll ask Chairman Kumar to stay on the topic of today, but I would advise you then that everybody in this chamber, including as the representative in the well, to stay on the topic and germane to the conversation. Representative Kumar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll wrap it up by saying that it is disappointing that you have insulted this body. You have insulted your colleagues. You have insulted the House of Representatives in the state of Tennessee. You have insulted our speaker. You have personally insulted me. And part of that is on tape, sir. I implore you that let us take it from here, whether you are expelled or not, but please, come on. You are a talented young man. You have a lot to offer, but offer it in a way that people are accepting of your ideas. Join the society where you celebrate your achievements. I wish you all the best. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, that was a very polite way of pointing out where this young man slipped up. He thinks he did the right thing, but you saw him be interrupted by that other Coleman fellow who had really no business interrupting him. But I think he got his point across, and there are millions of Americans seeing that, and also millions of Americans that realize that their legislature can do something about problem members, and they're acting like they have been acting like they can't. But now we all know from Tennessee's example that they can't dump it all in our lap to say, well, they got voted in. There's not much we can do about it. Oh, yes, there is. Oh, yes, there is, especially if you try to throw that in our lap after what we've been dealing with the situations in the selections, right? Now, there's a story that I was going to talk about. I had a lot in there that I couldn't get to. A development in this story that I didn't talk about was the founder of Cash App was fatally stabbed in San Francisco. And I'm sure many of you have heard that. Some of you may not have heard it. He was walking curiously at 2:30 in the morning, but he was supposed to be in a very good neighborhood, and he was accosted and ended up losing his life. And the story on that was that police found him on Tuesday morning suffering from numerous wounds and transported to the hospital where he died. No arrests have been made. And that's on Breitbart if anybody wants to see more details, but I have heard since that it was supposed to be a good part of the San Francisco and that it was about 2:30 in the morning. But the development on this is that there were people who passed by. San Francisco horror. Witnesses ignored cries for help from dying Cash App creator Bob Lee. Video exclusively obtained by the San Francisco Standard shows critically injured Cash App founder and tech executive Bob Lee screaming for help after he was stabbed, only to be ignored by onlookers. So the culture of death, that, you know, is partially, I know it wasn't meant to be supportive of this type of thing, but that's what caused me to have a kind of strong reaction about celebrating that bombing I covered last night. Because, you think there's waitresses, there's innocent people, there's all kinds of stuff like this. And when we cheapen life in any stage or condition, the ripple effect is brutal. And I would hope that we all approach the conversations in the future. I'll try to be less of a knee-jerk and try to talk a little more like a Dutch uncle and hopefully make some progress to where we understand that, what I'm trying to convey. So I'll tell you, I had to get a copy of this shot, though. We got some operations going on, as we all know. Here's ABC News. The New York City judge overseeing the criminal case against former president, has received dozens of threats, police sources say. But my point is this. You look at the sketch that so-called news organization is putting in front of the words judge and threats. And everybody who saw the picture of DJT in that courtroom knows that this is a fabrication. This is a purposefully altered image as to either he's a very poor artist, which is probably the case, but it's intentional. It's intentional to portray Donald Trump something that he is not, and to put in the historical record an image that is not accurate. And I'll show you. He can. There it is, folks. We'll do our own recordation of history. Okay, right here. Here's reality. Here's some psycho-liberal cartoonist. There it is, folks. You can get a freeze frame of that. There's prima facie proof that they are trying to alter history. They're trying to wage a psychological battle against the American people. And they're trying to influence world opinion. Hello, Greg Kibler. Ha ha. Gary's got it right. So tired of for those that don't get what's coming because it's going to shake the boots off your feet. That's right. And the signs to me are so bright that we're going down. It's not a fun path. It's not an easy path, but we're going down the right path. And I've said in the past, if freedom was easy, everybody in the world would have it, right? But as DJT said, news organizations are one of the first ones that have to go. But if you want to get a screenshot of that to prove the duplicitous nature of the FAKE news, okay, the FAKE news. Now, what's the other thing that they're doing? They're attacking Clarence Thomas. What's the new attack? Let me find it here. Here we go. MSNBC. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas released a statement on ProPublican report about trips he took that were paid for by conservative billionaire Harlan Crow. So they're already slinging mud, and nobody remembers Edwards, who ran for president, John Edwards, and he got a little dust up about Mrs. Mellon from the matriarch of the Mellon family. She was giving him $100,000 checks every foggy day, and he didn't get in a drop of trouble over that. So, but anyway, so they smell something coming because there's going to be Supreme Court intervention on some of this business. And to what Gary was saying about people not realizing about something coming, I watched BCP, Black Conservative Patriot. His name is James, not to be confused with Black Conservative Perspective. That's another fellow that, but I'm talking about Black BCP, Black Conservative Patriot. He's got an interesting take now. He put this up, liberals in drag. And all three of the Supreme Court justices betrayed us, I'll say. He said they betrayed us. And I understand how people feel. But I want to correct him a little bit. You know, he's right to be keeping his eyes open and worrying about what they're up to. But what his complaint is that the Supreme Court they refused to hear a case that would have, here we go, right here. Now, this is another creator, Truth in Our TV, time to countersue the ACLU for the damage it's doing to our country. I agree with that. And it's time for women to stand together and boycott sports in these states. That would end all of this. I agree with that too. But this is what BCP was upset about. The Supreme Court rules against West Virginia trans athletes can compete in women's teams. The law was brought to the Supreme Court by West Virginia AG Patrick Morrissey, backed by 21 other attorney generals across the state. Now, what happened was all but two of the Supreme Court justices refused to hear this case. And BCP said, well, they stabbed us in the back, or, well, they used a different word, but bear with me. We have so many cases, the Brunson case, a couple of times with Mr. T, where the circuit court, the Court of Appeals, have been leapfrogged over by writs of mandamus or brought before the Supreme Court in emergency hearings, bypassing the lower courts. Now, that is what was going on here. This case that they're talking about is still under litigation and still has to go through the normal process. If we have every case we think is an emergency and has to go over all the other courts, be put on a fast track and get taken right to the Supreme Court, there's going to be at least two problems from that. One, the Supreme Court's going to be overwhelmed. Two, we're not going to get to flush out the baddies in the lower courts. We have to force them to make a choice. We have to see how they behave, and then we'll know who we got to get rid of. And we'll know who is breaking the law, using the law, so they can be removed, much like what happened in Tennessee, either through impeachment or expulsion. So if we say, oh, let's just take this straight to the Supreme Court, they all get a pass. They all get a pass. They're not going to be called on to write opinions. They're not going to be called on to make historical record of their behavior. And I've said before that we are at a point in this operation, which I consider to be an operation, that we're looking at weeding out prosecutors and judges. That's where we're at right now. And if we do this constantly leapfrog for each case we think is important and needs to be heard right now, and not let the lower courts plant their flag in the ground, we'll never be able to identify and flush them out. So I'm going to give the Supreme Court and those three justices a pass. I mean, we're talking about Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett. I'm going to give them a pass because, hey, they got to give us a reason to kick them out. And that may be very well why it's going back. So hopefully I didn't spend too much time on that for y'all. Hi, Ivana. How are you? Hi, Sin. Let's see. Yes, Knights of Malta. I see that, Ivana. I had a story about that. He was just down there. He was just in Malta. Did you know that, Ivana? He just got back. Robert, they're not liberals. And yeah, Bernie still does a show. Yep, he's been doing a show. He's never stopped. He's just gone somewhere else. So anyway, here's a good one for you. If you got your, what do you call it, screenshot ready. I just grabbed a few memes. Hi, Mimi, how are you? Tennessee, how are you doing? That's right. We have to lure the rats out before we can catch them. That's right. That's right. And then jumping over those courts and giving them a pass, not making them make decisions, is not the way to go. And the thing is that by the court sending it back, the parents can do just what Bernie said. Do not let your children participate until this thing is decided. Do not send your kid onto a soccer field, a basketball court, or God forbid, a wrestling match, or anything. Do not let your girl go out there and get manhandled by some person that's mentally disturbed. And I don't care who gets mad at that. Because we can talk about Uvalde. Okay, what happened at a school in Uvalde? What happened with the guy that was dressed up like a chick to escape what happened at the 4th of July parade? Okay, with Bang Bang. Okay, we can talk about this latest one at the school. This latest one where the girl named Audrey, 28-year-old. Then we can talk about the one in Pennsylvania I mentioned yesterday that the parents are wondering what's going on. And then we can talk about this one. Andy, I talked about it last night, but Andy No reported it. This person I talked about last night, right here. A person whose natural condition was male, thinks he's a female. Right here. A 19-year-old male to female identifying as a trans person named William, quote, Lily Whitworth, has been arrested and charged for allegedly planning mass shootings on churches and schools in Elbert County, Colorado. Colorado has had multiple deadly mass shootings by gender-diverse suspects in the last few years. Whitworth's arrest follows last week's church school mass you-know-what by Nashville transgender. So we've got at least five instances that have to do with people who view themselves as part of that community. Okay, I guess those words are okay for me to use. Part of that community. But I got something else for them to think about. Oh, let's here's six. Here, make it a half dozen. Right here, Democrat Rebecca Jones turning her son in for threatening to shoot up a middle school. Now, what's that son think he is? What does he think he is? And here we got this person. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not a school shooter. That's another one. That's another story I'm going to go over if I have time. But there's another one who accuses Ron DeSantis of kidnapping her child. Because here we go. I think this is it. Let me see. Activist. Governor DeSantis ordered kidnapping of her son. He was arrested on a suspicion, okay, of planning a mass bang, right? Florida activist Rebecca Jones claims Governor DeSantis ordered kidnapping her son. He was arrested on suspicion of planning a mass bang. And fact check. He threatened to shoot up his middle school and stab his classmates who angered him, tweeted Christina Pushaw. So, but I got news for him right here. That's not going to be reported, okay? And it's why we keep up with our neighbors in the South, right? This was on another YouTube channel, though. Horror in Brazil. 25-year-old enters a nursery, okay, with an axe. At least 4 children lose their lives. This is an awful story. It was in Brazil. In Brazil. 4 children have been killed and 4 more injured in an axe attack at a daycare center. This is CNN, but they're not going to put it on TV. Brazilian city of, can't pronounce it. Those who lost their lives, 3 boys and a girl, were between the ages of 5 and 7. And 4 more were injured. And here's a photograph of the parents outside. Some of the parents who were able to hopefully get their children out. Some people lost their children. So they can put all the rules, regulations, and take away the rights of law-abiding citizens. But if you have mentally ill people, so there's another headline, the same thing, 4 children killed at a daycare center in southern Brazil. When's it going to come here? Oh, when 90% of the people in Brazil do not have firearms. Only 10% do. And the 10% that do have to go through paperwork, have to take a mental health evaluation, have to go through a criminal background check, have to have money. The poor person isn't going to be able to do all that. So when are we going to start seeing stuff like this axe attack? When people who are mentally ill, they don't have guns, so they're going to find something. That's when you start seeing axe attacks. So anyway, insanity, folks. Insanity. Bring back straitjackets and mental asylums. That's right, Kim. That's right. And you know, we have got to, I see what Ivana said there. We have got to put pressure on these legislators, even the ones that aren't talking kooky. If they're going to let people sit in those chairs that are actively undermining the Constitution, never mind that they made the body look bad because they were breaking the rules. How about breaking the rules of our Constitution? That's enough to throw them out or impeach them. How about when people like Adam Schiff make up stories about Donald J. Trump and get away with it? He should have been censured or called out on the floor of the House and embarrassed in front of the nation. And if that wasn't enough to get him to stop, he should have been impeached. They have the power to do it. So anyway, I had this. I've had this picture up for a while. This is another operation. They were starting after Clarence Thomas, but also ABC News. So you notice a rat in a pack with that. Emerging artificial intelligence technology is making it even more difficult to discern what's real and what's not, worrying some about the potential impact on politics. ABC senior reporter Emmanuel Saliba has more on the risks and how to spot these deepfake images. Why am I bringing this up? Because they're preparing the public to doubt what they're going to be shown. There's going to be stuff coming out, undeniable. And don't put it in the chats, but a lot of you know about Huma, a laptop, and the images that were on that laptop. Now they make it a picture of Pope Francis. And I guess they're trying to head it off at the pass about there being some religious connotations or something that you wouldn't believe about people you trust. But they're going to get people to doubt real images by claiming it's AI. So that's what they're preparing people for. And I'm coming up on my hour. I'm going to put a thumbnail up and we can discuss it in the next show or later in the week or what is it? Oh my goodness, tomorrow Saturday. I'm not going to be up tomorrow. But here's two things I want you to think about. A person with 8 letters in their name supposed to be a stealth bomber. Okay, for those of you who get where I'm at, what I'm talking about. Hi Tank, how you doing? I think we got a lot more to go through yet for the BOMB's fall, but 8-letter name. Who would be the stealth bomber? I'll bring that up next time I go up. I might go live tomorrow. I don't know. But meanwhile, also look this video up and watch it. Blame it on George. This is just to show, and you can absorb what it says, but this is to show talking points with what Mr. T said. Human trafficking is an ancient art. And the hints that there is government involvement. This is not conspiracy. This refers to reports from the Associated Press, the Washington Post, and actual interviews with people that were involved. Nothing conspiracy, nothing mystical, no sorcery, nothing phony. But this has been going on since 1983. Okay, folks? So I appreciate you spending your precious time with me. And I might go live tomorrow. I might be looking at seeing you all live tomorrow. There's the man himself, not that cartoon you saw. And I hope you all have a great evening. This is Mountain Man over and out.